Kelita Haverland is a name many of you will probably recognize. She's a Canadian singer and songwriter who achieved quite a bit of success in the 80s and 90s and beyond. She was a Juno Award nominee for Best Country Female Artist. She also nominated for a Juno for Contemporary Christian and Gospel Album of the Year. Kelita is also a fellow believer who just released her memoirs discussing her musical journey along with her many adventures. And the book is called Reason to Sing. And Kelita joins us now from Oakville, Ontario. Kelita, welcome to Bridge City News.
Thank you, Hal. It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Now, you and your hubby Gord and your son and your puppy, you all actually moved to Mexico, but you're just, in Canada for a visit right now?
Well, yes, we did. We moved a few years ago, and I'm in Canada right now. I've been marketing and promoting and getting ready to release my book. So
Wonderful. Now, even though you're in Southern Ontario right now, you actually have quite a bit of history here in Southern Alberta. Can you explain?
I certainly do. I was actually born in Lethbridge. And yeah, my parents were farmers and ranchers in the Carmen Gay and Claresholm area. So I grew up. My grandparents actually sold the land where the college is in Lethbridge on the coulee there. So I have fond memories of hanging out in the coulees as a young girl. And then after we were in Claresholm, then we moved to Calgary, and that's where I did all my schooling.
So did the wind from Lethbridge kind of blow you out of the town? Like what happened?
Yes, the wind did. I know. I think that's never changed, has it?
Yeah, that's right. Now, you actually changed gears from country music into Christian music. How much
Yes.
did your faith really play a major role there?
Well, it played everything. I mean, I would had always had dreams of, being a star, music, movies, whatever. And I had quite a successful run in country music. But my life took a dramatic change after an automobile accident where I walked away unscathed. And it was really an implosion of everything in my life. I had been in a marriage that wasn't good. I had dealt with a lot of abuse and a lot of tragedy and loss in my personal life. And I just came to the end of myself, had done a lot of mask wearing, and it was time to take them off. And God welcomed me with his arms. And ever since then, I've been on a new path.
Well, let's talk about your journey coming to know Christ as your Lord and Savior.
Well, actually, it first happened when I was 14. My father had passed away on our farm in the Claresholm area, and my mother now found herself with terminal breast cancer. And so I was at a youth event one night and made a decision to take the step of receiving Christ, and that was such a beautiful thing to happen in those years of such loss and trauma in my family. And then I came to Toronto University and actually walked away from God for many years, my whole first entire marriage, my first marriage, and decided to take my life into my own hands, which wasn't a good idea. So God had his hand on me from a very early age. Even before that youth event that I went to, I was actually singing, writing a song after my father had passed away, and he actually took his life. So it was a very traumatic time for us. And I can remember it still to this day. I was sitting down at the piano, just grieving my father and the loss that our family experienced, and so many questions as an 11-year-old girl. And that's when I wrote my first song. And I really felt that there was something very supernatural that took place in my life that day, the gift of music that was given to me. And I know that today to be a gift from God.
Sounds like quite the journey, a lot of adventures, some pain, some sorrow, and some joy at the same time. Let's talk about your book, Reason to Sing, your memoirs. What really inspired you to write it? Was that whole journey in your life?
Yes. Actually, I've been, once I made the transition into the Christian music scene, I really started being invited into prisons, women's groups, churches, conferences. I've done it all. And as God would have it, he wanted me to share my story. And so as I began to share my story and the songs that were written that encompassed the story, I realized that there was a much greater purpose for my life, and that stories are so important. And when we can share openly and vulnerably, it's incredible how we can touch other people's lives and really let people know that they aren't alone in their own trauma and loss. And so I've been doing that for many years, and it just was an evolution to write the book and put it finally down on paper and to share it with more people. So it's been a long time in the works. I've probably been working on it for at least 20 years. But I think a lot of people have written books during COVID, and that's when I started really pulling all the pieces together and focusing on it.
Now, your book, Reason to Sing, delves into some deep personal and challenging experiences, Kelita. Why did you decide to open up and share so much of yourself and bare your soul to the world?
Well, I hid for so long. I hid behind many personas and masks. And one of the reasons, well, two reasons, is guilt and shame. And so when you can finally face your truth and the things that you've been through in your life, and you find freedom and you find healing, you want to share that with other people. And so as I began to share with other people, I realized that, I want to help more people. And there's a great desire in me to be able to walk alongside of other people. I do that in some personal coaching. And I just thought, it's a story of faith, and God has brought me through incredible things. And I've seen firsthand miracles that He's done in my life, in my husband Gord's life, and in our marriage. And so I wanted to be able to share those miracles and share the testament of how faithful God can be if we just hand things over to Him.
Can you maybe share one of those miracles with our viewers right now?
Sure. This was probably one of the deepest hurts that I experienced. And that was into my fourth year of marriage. Gord, who I'm married to now, he wandered in our marriage. And I share a lot about that in the book, so I won't give it all away. But it was a very painful time. And as a woman who had already had one failed marriage and was mother now to a little boy, I was devastated. But it was during that time that I held on to my faith, I think, and grew in my faith more than any other time in my life. And Gordon and I now celebrate almost 33 years of marriage. So I saw what God did in our marriage and in my husband's life, and that truly was a huge miracle.
Now, as you mentioned in your book, Reason to Sing, you talk about overcoming betrayal and trauma. So, Kalita, how do you really think your journey can really help to inspire other people?
Well, I hope that people can really understand that they are not alone, that everyone has a story. And I think we've been held back from sharing because we just think that people won't understand us, or we are too immobilized by the shame and the guilt that surrounds having those wounds, having toxic relationships, coming from traumatic backgrounds. And so we don't think that we should share. We keep things to ourselves. And I think more than any time now in this world, we need to really come alongside of other people and be able to share our truth and our honesty. Because speaking from my own experience, there's nothing like being vulnerable and honest with who you really are, because then you've got nothing to hide. And be you can be proud that you've survived, and things that you've come through, and that you're alive today, and that you can be grateful and thankful. And of course, the huge thing is finding the forgiveness to let go of those, things that have kept you in a prison, and also to forgive yourself. That's been a huge part of my journey, and I know that of many people, it seems like we're always the last ones to be able to forgive ourselves.
And what's that expression? Let go and let God really allows us to grow in our faith. Kalita, you write that you found joy amidst the pain. Can you really explain how you found your own reason to sing?
Well, um, For many years, I sang in country venues. I sang for uh, to increase liquor sales, to party, to sell myself as a woman on a stage. And so I tell people, I was selling beer and partying. Um, but once I started changing my 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 outlook, my journey, and started singing for God and singing for His glory and using the gifts that has given me, then my whole reason for that gift that He had given to me completely changed. And I have many reasons to sing, and for that gift of music that He's given me to be able to express myself in ways that perhaps I never could have. It's been the joy of my life to be able to create music and to inspire and encourage people. Music is so powerful and such a healing tool. And I'm so blessed to be able to write songs and sing stories that are other people's voices as well as my own.
Yeah, music stirs the soul. I totally agree with that. Now, Kelita, what was the most difficult part of writing this book? How were you really able to push through certain challenges to complete your memoirs?
Well, it was a challenge. It was a great challenge because, when you're writing something this personal, you have to go not only back to those stories, but you have to really climb inside of them and dig really deep to find the feelings and the emotions. So really you're experiencing a lot of things all over again. And so I would say that was probably the most difficult thing, is trying to relive them, and not just to relive them, but then in a creative way express them, um, and to turn it into a story that other people might be engaged in. So I've written a lot of songs. I've released 9, 10 albums now over the years, but I have a huge appreciation of people who write. And I'm not a I don't come by this kind of writing naturally, so it was hard work. I worked with a wonderful editor who really was able to find my voice along with me, and together we um, carved out the story. Hmm.
And your husband, Gord Lemon, he's also a musician. He's performed with you as well?
Yes, Gord's a great musician. He's been my producer over the years and also my songwriting partner. He's an amazing arranger, producer, and we've worked on a lot of our projects together. And you know, it's he comes from a totally different background. He comes from like jazz and funk and R&B. I love the R&B, but I think it's been unique the way our musical tastes and talents have partnered, because it's created, I guess, a unique sound for me and my music. But it's been fun. I mean, we lock heads too. I think that's the only time we really argue, is when we're in the studio, and he's hearing things different than I do. But I think any husband and wife would probably experience the same thing.
Absolutely. So, Kalita, how do you hope Reason to Sing will really impact readers, especially those who may have faced similar struggles?
Well, I hope that they will find hope, and that they will be encouraged, that they will be inspired, that they will be challenged, that they will want to face their own truth so that they can find their inner strength, so that they can be the best that they can be for their kids, for their grandchildren, to find healing and wholeness. So all of that would be that is my prayer, that people will really be able to be changed.
Singer, songwriter, and fellow believer, Kelita Haverland, thanks so much for joining us today from Oakville, Ontario, and all the best and God's blessings with you and your new book, Reason to Sing.
Thank you, Hal.